The City of Angels is black and gold. You are listening to the Heart of LAFC podcast. And now, Joseph Zacher.
Greetings, Los Angeles. Welcome to episode 292 of the Heart of LAFC podcast. For this one, we're going to call it Dominance for very obvious reasons, as Wonga dominates the league and we once again dominate RSL. We will get you up to date on that match, talk a little bit about the fun at Fairplex. Also, of course, preview SKC. Of course, we have the expert here, Araceli, in the mix, talking SKC with us. And LAC, she's the best of both worlds. You know how that works. And so she is on. Tony's on as well today. Bam could not be with us. He's a bit under the weather. We hope he gets well very soon. You might see him kind of creeping around on the chat out there. So hey, say hi to Bam. Wish him well. We're hoping for a speedy recovery, and we get him in by next episode. Let's hope, hope, hope. Araceli, how are you doing tonight?
I'm actually doing very well. A little curious of how the match is going to go tomorrow. I'm not going to lie. But other than that, just kind of gearing up for a busy summer, especially with MLS Next Pro. I got a lot of travel coming up. Trust me, there's a lot of good news coming down the mix. But as of now, you all kind of have to wait. I can't share anything just yet.
We're just looking forward to you getting over here. You know, getting back into the mix, getting back to the bank. I'm not spoiling nothing. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just hoping you get your way here and it happens. Tony, I see you hiding over there in the corner. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. Excited for our stretch of one interpod rivalry with Araceli and SKC, and the coming up weeks of two more rivalry games and then Champions League after that.
Now, I think we all fully realize that Araceli is more informed about our club here. Yes, the black and gold, both LAFC topside, the second one as well. She's spending a whole lot more time on our end, and I think that's kind of a certainty. But she definitely has her love for SKC, has the history there, and also knows because she knows she's always out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so yes, we are going to definitely rely on Araceli a bit today to get us some information because there are some new faces, so she is definitely looking into that. But before we get into SKC, because again, that is going to be an interesting topic, we're going to talk about that amazing 3-0 victory against RSL. Again, the dominance once again shows itself. 11 of 12 now against RSL in the regular season. It's a little bit wild. It's as if we were punishing them for that loss in the playoffs, and never again because of that. Because definitely we tend to step up, and even when we don't look our greatest, we do when we play against RSL, and we find a way. We just do. Now, looking into the match, really interesting vibes going into it. Now, the lead up was kind of cool for a lot of us. There were watch parties all over the place, but there was actually a good presence at the LA County Fair for LAFC. It was officially LAFC Day at the fair, so they did have a watch party. They also did have clinics hosted by Jordan Harvey and some of the boys from LAFC too for the kids throughout the day. MLS Cup was there. Ken was there. Yes, Ollie was there too. It was a good time out. So for a lot of us that got to go to the fair for the day, yes, we got to watch the game at the fair. So that was a good moment out there. Now, looking at the match, looking at what RSL had to offer, we're no shock here. They actually did jump into the 4-4-2 again. But cool thing to see, Mosowski did get the start for this game. So one of our old friends did get the start. He did also receive his ring too, which was a nice touch, knowing his history with us. And so that was nice to see. Now, he was, of course, up top with Rubin. He had Ojeda and Ruiz as their central midfielders, with Gomez on the right and Savarino on the left of mid. Their center backs, Rivera and Glad. Brody was your right back, Oviedo left back, and McMath in goal. Again, no surprise to anybody. I think what was more surprising was our lineup for this game. Looking at it, we had Vela up top with Opoku and Bouanga. I got that one right, guys. Opoku did get his start. Sanchez, Tillman, and Acosta, again, sparing no expense, going right to it with the experience there and the hot hand. They had Maldonado and Long as your center backs, Hollingshead on the right and Palacios on the left for very obvious reasons. Clearly, there's something going on with our center back situation and the health of everybody. So Maldonado and Long were platooned in because they had to. It's a necessity. And of course, McCarthy was in goal. So strong lineup going into it, no messing around. Tony, I'm going to throw this into you for the very big moments before we break it down. Let's do this, man. Let's get right into the match. What happened, man?
No, it was overall like I think SKC. Sorry, my phone just went off. IKC. Sorry, jumping ahead.
Initial madness. Yes.
Yeah, initial madness for RSL. Didn't expect us to come out the way we did. I think they expected us to be tired. Because look what happens when we actually have a week of rest. Our boys are healthy and really willing. Because in the eighth minute, Opoku ends up scoring the first goal of the game. A left-footed shot into the center of the box to the top right corner, assisted by, of course, Ilya Sanchez, who was very, very well one of the players of the match. I would say Ilya was very generalized in the middle, especially after an injury later on in the game with Acosta, which is hopefully he's healthy enough to come back for Champions League. I don't really care about the other two games, just Champions League. We need him for that. And in the 35th minute, another goal by, of course, Dennis Bouanga with one of the goals of the week. It's kind of hard watching the other goals of the week, very similar and stuff like that, but with a pretty much a no-look pass, no looking at the game, just looked up, saw the opening and just shot it in a rocket with no spin on it. If you rewatch that ball, there is no spin on the ball. It was just straight force and just through the air. And yeah, and the last goal, of course, in the 87th minute, a converted penalty by Bogus, which was the right move. We could have given it to Bouanga to pat his golden boot, but to get him on the sheet and get him his confidence up, they gave it to him, and he scored it with a very, very strong right-footed shot to the left corner, the bottom left, and the keeper almost got it, but there was enough kick into it to do it, and we come out 3-0 and second in the Western Conference.
When you kick it with authority, you definitely get a little bit of a get out of jail free card, right? I mean, you put some power on that, better chance it sneaks in anyway. That's what he did. I found it absolutely classy by the boys to give Bogusz the chance to take it. They didn't have to do that, especially if you're Bouanga, where you want to pad your goals, right? You're building towards the scoring lead, which he did get to the scoring lead too, which was beautiful to see. But he gave it up because they wanted Bogusz to get his first official league match goal. I mean, that's what it was about. Build the confidence on the young man. He's been earning it already on the field, so it was nice to see him get there. Having Opoku score as well is a pretty big deal for us. Seeing him pay dividends here. There's now a couple games here we've actually seen some improvement from him. Good on him. He's getting better as the games progress. I'm going to throw it to you, Tony, as well. You were impressed with Ilya. Anyone else stand out to you? Well, big time in this one.
Overall, just like Opoku getting back in form and scoring the goals that we needed him to do, especially with the tournaments coming up. We're probably going to see him in a couple of those 100%. So we need our front line to be pretty much be able to fire at the chamber and score. The other one, which of course was just the youngins when they got in, it was to see them really done well and stuff like that, and to get Bogus his first shot. Again, this could go miles ahead, and hopefully his confidence gets better. The only bad, I have to say this, and it's not that, is just Sifu. Sifu is a little bit lost again. He needs to get better. I think some time with LAFC 2 could be well done, or maybe tomorrow. And of course, against San Jose is going to be a great way for him to get somewhat back in shape and somewhat in mentality wise. Or honestly, we're going to keep him when the summer market opens up if he keeps playing like this.
Yeah, I think there's so much first team football to play at this point that he has to play. He simply has to survive. Otherwise, our guys are going to all end up hurt. That to me was the big concern. I think for most of us getting through this match is, yes, we got the win, but man, there were way too many scares and a lot of exhausted looking faces in this game, which is very, very concerning. Of course, the Acosta injury, contact, right? Interesting. Again, referee not having the greatest control of the game kind of created these situations. And of course, McCarthy getting
Yeah, I was gonna say
knocked
that too.
head over heels on a play. If you look at the play, it looked dirty, but it really wasn't. They were going for the ball. It was equal opportunity. You got to go in aggressive, and he just ended up on the wrong side of momentum, and nearly bit it. I mean, it was pretty rough to see a goalkeeper go down the way he did. Thankful he came out of that and didn't have to get taken out, because I think the first impression we saw from Aaron Long was get him out of there. It was initially he looked really concerned, and so that is really scary, especially knowing how many games we have coming in that these injuries are showing now. I think Vela had a knock in this game at one point. Ilya got decked at one point. It just seemed like our skill players were just getting that extra little nudge in this one. And it did feel a bit like they have targets on their backs. Not accusing Arcel of anything. Those are our skill players. But yeah, you could see it was taking a toll. I think the other concern, like I said, looking at the fatigue, when he saw Ryan Hollingshead and the others come off the field for their substitutions, it wasn't just that they were tired. They looked gassed. Their faces looked like there was pain there because of how gassed they were. And so the concern does have to be there. It's looking like these matches are really taking its toll, and it should have an effect on the next game. Araceli, your impressions on the match?
I have to be honest, I really did not have a chance to watch the match, considering it was Mother's Day weekend, and I was with family that Saturday. However, I did manage to catch the last 10 minutes to see Bogusz finish it off with the third goal. So at least I got to see that. But I mean, overall impressions, looking at the roster and just kind of seeing what I've seen off of the highlights, I'm not really too surprised, considering the going into it. We have talked in the past, especially with fatigue in the team and roster rotation. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm glad that they did get the result, but now moving forward with an even more, how do I say this? Like just a very heavy schedule, really, for the next 2 weeks. I'm curious to see what Dolo's going to do with the roster.
What did
Not only-
Dolos? I was gonna
Yeah,
say, what
go
did
for it.
Dolos say in the interview? I saw that you were in an interview with him and like listening to him talk. What did he say about the injuries coming up for the next game?
He didn't really have to say too much. Again, I really couldn't stay long in the interviews this morning because I had other prior commitments with MLS Next Pro. But based on what I heard from him, I know there was definitely a lot of questioning in terms of the roster rotation, and Dolo being usual Dolo, not really giving too much away. And he definitely focused a lot on Ilya with the match for tomorrow. And I think that was just more of Ilya's connection to Sporting.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be interesting for Ilya every time he faces SKC. It just has to be because of his history with it. His love for the club, it's still there. There's no doubt. His love for the fans. And we'll get more into that, of course. But yeah, interesting comments from him. They're going to stay protected and guarded as to who's hurt, who's not hurt, who's fatigued. They have to be at this point because you make people targets if you mention too much. But it's real. I mean, you could see it on the players. The fatigue is still there, whether they got a week off or not. Miles are traveled, and that's going to be tough. Negatives from the match, like I said, it's more of the miles driven. There are still certain players that aren't quite getting where they need to be. We know who they are. We can spot them out continually, or just hope that it works itself out. But yeah, the same faces kind of keep showing up as the ones that are like, well, we need more. We need more. So that's my thought on it. Tony, any final thoughts before we throw it out to our supporters and see where they're at on this?
Just concerned about the rotation moving forward. I would like to hear what chat has to say about, Sifu and everybody else of the players, and who honestly, well, since Bam's not here, we can do it like who's who their top three is, because mine, of course, are going to be Bwanga, Poku, and McCarthy for getting pretty much another clean sheet off, especially with the injury or somewhat injury. Playing through like a nice slow.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And so that's your top three. I'll throw it to you, Araceli, before we get into the mix with everybody. Who's your top three?
Ooh. Top three, Bawanga, McCarthy, and I'm gonna give it to Bogus.
Hey, gets his first goal there. I'm gonna go a little bit different. Not too different, guys. We all know who's number one. It's Bawanga. Scoring a goal like that, it's pretty wild. Second star goes to McCarthy. He did get the shutout. He still got called upon. He had to get into the mix, and he came back strong from that horrible hit. So good on him for that. And then you know what? I'm going to throw it to Maldonado. Why? Bounce back. Huge bounce back for him. He had a couple of really critical slide tackles. One was really out there to prevent a scoring chance. Helped us to secure a shutout, and it's a good way to bounce back from we know what he had last situation. So good on him. I'm going to give him the third star for that. Let's throw it out to you guys. Let's get the comments, see where everybody's at on this, and of course, throw out any break news you want to throw out there. I know there was a lot of news about salaries, on some teams that are totally overpaying. Trade rumors, other rumors involving some of our players. So have at it, guys. This is your time to shine. Throw whatever you want to talk about. Let's go for it. Let's see where we're at here. So the first one in the mix that I see it's Jibble. He is on. Mark Lopez says LFG. Gotta make Kevin Show yell at SKZ again. He's gonna yell at everything, man. He's amazing. Again, all love to him for what he does. It's so entertaining to watch what he does. So good on him. But yeah, I hope we do make him cry a bit in this one. Not gonna lie. Daniel Unhill giving love to Bam. Feel better, Bam. Ox in the mix, straight out of Wichita. We've got Daniel Unhill said, "Did Tony call San Jose a rival?" Ooh, Tony. Go
They
for it.
they technically are. It's like, you know what I mean, especially even if they're not in the best of form, and they've had our number for the past couple of days, like the past couple of times we faced them. So they're more of a state rival, as you would pretty much, I would say this in England, like there's like the Southern London where sometimes they play each other and sometimes they don't, but at the end of the day, the rivalry is there. No matter how big or small it is, there's still rivals there. Just because one team's higher than the other doesn't mean anything. It's a rivalry game, and you see it. They play like a rivalry game. They show up and they give us a headache all the time.
Yeah, I mean, they're division rivals, right? Anytime we play them, it's a swing in the standings. So that is a rivalry. They're provincial rivals, if we want to call it that, because of the region. If San Diego gets into the mix, which it sounds like they probably are, they will instantly be a rival too, because again, proximity counts for something. Yeah, I would say, Seattle, Portland, we could call them rivals too because of the football side of things. But again, they're on the same side as us standings wise too. So it counts for more, I would say. So I think that's where you're at, right, Tony?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's how I am. It's like, again, there's football rivalry of like histories of what's going on. Seattle being one of them, Portland, we just hate each other. And then there's also region rivalries, which is, Carson, San Jose, and eventually, from what's being announced, San Diego. But that one's going to be more regional until there's history there, but it's going to be a regional rivalry.
There you go. As you guys see Bam chatting on there as well. Again, wish him the best, guys. He's going through it. There's no doubt. Yeah, he's on there right now, so you definitely want to go in there and jump on there and talk to the man. Ox, I see you talking about SKC. Says needs to go back to losing. I want them to suck when we face them at their home. Honestly, I want them to lose this week, but otherwise go on a winning streak for very obvious reasons. I like certain teams to be in the basement, so we can talk about relegation being needed in this league, so we can get rid of certain geniuses. Just saying. Down on Hill, RSL, yeah, big L, right? We have Mendo on here. He says one-on-one chances should be converted to goals. Killer mindset from Apoku. Yeah, man, good finish, right? For sure. LO man in the mix. Mendo says at times Sifu plays by the book when not necessary at certain situations. Yeah, he's got his struggles. Timing's not quite there. Daniel Angel's vote for top 3. He says Bawanga, Apoku, and Long. There you go. Excellent. Yes, Long was excellent in the day. That is true. Bam. Top for fans. This is the fan vote was Bawanga, McCarthy, Apoku. There you go. Let's see. Some well wishes for Bam. Says get well soon, Bam. Give that COVID that 3-0 treatment. There you go. There you go. Hey, LAFC and a 3-0 treatment works really well. Makes us all feel better. So I dig it. I dig it. Mendo says McCarthy, Apoku, Maldonado. There you go. And Ox says sorry, Ederselly, but it's just time to stick to LAFC. Oh, they're forcing it into a choice there, Araceli. There you go. Oxes, of course, but yeah, having fun with it, that's for certain. When these matches come up, it's always going to be like that. We kind of expect that, so there it is. Good stuff on you guys. Throw it out there as well. Definitely, I'll throw it out to you guys as well. Your thoughts about the San Diego rumors that popped up today, talking about numbers and record fees. And who could potentially be the buyer. Definitely throw it out there if you want to talk about that. I'm down to talk about that. The Olympic Marseille rumor that was flying around about Denis Bouanga that we saw little tiny bit on Twitter. I'll just say, whatever. Maybe next year, but not this year. Paying a lot for that one. Yeah, those were kind of the ones that stood out the most. And of course, the pay rates and seeing Toronto FC and Galaxy throw money into the trash is pretty fun to see too. Apparently, it's throwing supporters in the trash is their thing too. So just gonna throw that there too. But interesting. Oh, Black and Gold's got one for us. Black and Gold Soldier, thoughts on new MLS playoff format, 3 games, 8 and 19 going in SMH. I don't think I'm hidden from this one at all. I think it stinks. I think the shorter the playoffs, the better. We undervalue the league way too much and overvalue playoff systems. And 3 games is just not natural for football. So I think it's ridiculous, and it brings us back to the shootout era, or nearly to it, when you play this many games. Tony, you want to add in on that?
Which is more money for Apple TV. That's one of the main reasons this has got brought up. The other one is also more money for the home team, whoever has the higher seats. So us, most likely Seattle, Portland, more of the people who are doing that. It doesn't really work for football sense. It's just more of a cash grab-ish, and also to get more hype and to do the whole, I think the best way to say it is what NBA has been doing with their like play-ins to get the 8th seed if you're in the 9th and 10th to give the bubble. But of course, we always say the reason these new rules are created is because certain teams suck, and this is the only way they get into playoffs. So, and that's the only I mentioned about that.
Because we overvalue the playoffs. Always overvalue the playoffs. Yeah, to me, again, this sport, the best of it, 2 legs, total goals. Simple. It's so simple, right? You don't need more than that. You don't need to make it complicated. People hate complicated. You want to watch a 7-game series? There's other sports that do that. That's fine. You want to watch that madness? Go for it. 3-game set just comes off funky. It does. It just does. It's not natural to this. So yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm with you. And again, they've played how many games already this year? Now you're gonna extend that too? Yeah, it's jacked. It's jacked. So yeah, simple is better. It's football. It's a simple sport, right? Everything in the sport is based off of balance. There's 2 halves, right? I mean, it's just, yeah, it is what it is. I can go for hours on this, but yeah, I don't think there's any disagreement here. I mean, we love football, but you don't need to make it complicated. You don't. Good stuff, guys. Good on the reactions. We'll get back to you later in this. Again, fire away at us. Do not hesitate. We absolutely love the comments you guys throw our way. Of course, after reactions, what do? That's right. We go into club community news. That's where Tony is our specialist in this, because there is stuff going on. And I believe Black and Gold Vinyl Club's got something going on. Go for it, man.
I'll sell the Black and Gold Vinyl Club for the transition to our Black and Gold Vinyl Minute. But so, of course, as y'all seen, the new Pride warm-up jerseys have come out. They are really good this year. I actually, hoping for it to be released tomorrow at the game. So when I go to HQ, I could just pick mine up. It's really cool to that we as a league do this, as in support in general, just a lifestyle that is important and not to be also diminished, because in the last couple of weeks we've heard so many backlash about this, even in our own sport, even in our own league, with everything that's been going on. So if you have the money and of course LAFC, and support this cause as well, just to show that we are allies, that we accept anyone, no matter who you are. So that's one. Two is, of course, we were talking about the San Diego thing. That was the news, and that's something that it is what it is. So we'll talk about that more once it becomes more realistic and also more confirmed with other news, because supposedly there's an announcement. So maybe the next pod we'll talk about that. And of course, the last one is the Black and Gold Vinyl Club is holding an event this Friday at Boomtown Brewery, May 19th at 8 p.m. They are going to be having, they've done this before. Wasn't able to do this. But the DJs are going to be Sol Libre, Rasta Gari, Golden Brown, and Brandon Gerard are going to be there. I believe there's one more. I think I not wrote it down. So if you have time, hang out with our Black and Gold Club Vinyl Club event. It should be a fun time. Have you ever been to Boomtown? It's really cool. It's a really cool venue, the way it's set up and everything. So it should be fun. So if you have time, go enjoy that.
Yeah, it should be definitely a good time out. I will say those Pride jerseys are brilliant this year. They look good. Like, honestly, I might be picking one of those up. Last year's didn't look so great. But this year it's a huge upgrade for sure. For sure. All right, that brings us to LAFC2 update. Araceli, you have the floor. How are things going in the world of LAFC2?
There's really been no further updates, considering that we've already seen what LAFC2 has been doing the last couple of matches, including the Open Cup play. But other than that, their hunt for the first win of the season continues. They will be traveling to Salt Lake this weekend to face the Real Monarchs. That game will be on this Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. And it will actually be on MLSNextPro.com, not Apple, on the main website itself. So for those who may not even have Apple TV, you can still stream it online for free. Highly recommend checking it out. As I've said in the last couple of weeks, I know the last time we spoke about it, it kind of sounded like I was going a little hard with the guys. Hey, I understand the bigger picture when it comes to LAFC2, but when you go week after week with it just getting closer to that result, you do have to start questioning certain mechanisms in it. But hopefully this weekend they can finally find that win. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, there's a lot going on in this league, especially over the summer. But unfortunately, as of now, I cannot share any updates since we are still working out final details.
There it is. There it is. Thank you for the update, Araceli. Yeah, let's hope they get this darn win. We're over it. We're over it. Hey, if the big boys can dominate RSL, you can too, LAFC2. We have confidence in you. And honestly, there should be a boost of confidence after the Monterey Bay match, right? Now that everyone's going to be available, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get those points. All right. So the next one is, of course, the Black and Gold Vinyl Club Minute. And forgive me on this one. I decided there were two ways I was going to go, looking for something new or looking for something old. I just decided to go old, classic. So I'm choosing Charlie Parker for this one. Again, jazz, bebop, saxophonist, of course, known as Bird as well. Albums, you name it, it's out there. the complete Savoy Dial Studio recordings probably is the best one to go if you just want to get the whole measure. So that is my choice for Vinyl Club album of the week. Again, history is important, especially music history. Don't forget the old stuff because it influences the new stuff every day. So there is my choice. You guys have any others you want to throw out there? Or are you good? Thumbs are up from everybody. All right. So you know what that means, right? We transition to the next match. The one we really want to talk about, the one that we're all going to be at tomorrow if we can be there, the ones we're going to walk from far away. But this is the big game for us, LAFC versus SKC. A team on the top versus a team that's finally starting to look like they're coming to life this year after a very, 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 very difficult start. Game will be, of course, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. at BMO Field. BMO Stadium, sorry. BMO. Interesting run of form, like I said. SKC's looking better, Tony. Throw up the results, man. What's going on with those guys?
So they haven't been the greatest in the last season, as you haven't noticed. They're on the tied for the bottom of the Golden Spoon with Carson. But if you look at their last 5 games, they actually look pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start. They won against Minnesota United 3-0. They lost to Houston Dynamo in the U.S. Open Cup. They won against the Seattle Sounders 2-1. Lost to Montreal 2-0, and also in the Open Cup they beat Tunisian, I think. Sorry,
Tulsa Athletic.
Tulsa. Okay, it looked like an I. Sorry, that Tulsa Athletic 3-0. So from the last 5, they're actually pretty decent. Looks like they've brought in a couple new players and they're finally in form coming into this game. Now we can't overlook that because we have a busy schedule. So this could be a trap game, and the next one can be a trap game because there's 2 games that most fans. I don't know if the players are, but most fans are focusing on.
Well, the funny thing is we do have a history with them of going back and forth. The weird thing is we've never tied them before. A draw just hasn't happened. It's been 5 wins for us, 4 wins for them. And what's funny is these tend to happen when you're not expecting them, right? There's been some off ones. They're like, well, I wasn't expecting that result, where we lay an egg, or they do, or we get a crazy red card that shouldn't have been red card. We've had that moment too. So it's been interesting in the history, and so it is tighter than we think. Now I will say this: any team that is able to beat Minnesota United 3-0, and then also beat the Sounders, who were in first place at the time, is a threat, is a better team than they show in the standings. This team can play when they're healthy, when they have the full measure. When they're injured, that, of course, is another story. So as Tony mentioned, yes, they're in last place. They're tied with 9 points with the Galaxy. But the story is changing for them, and we have to be respectful for that. Now, total goals scored, and this is where you see where their struggles have been. As we've had 20 scored, they're sitting at only 8 right now. That's right. 12 games, 8 goals. Okay. That has been their issue. But players have come back. Goal difference, of course, is -8. It's because, again, lack of production. That is their story. They've also been a bit of a sieve. Things are looking more improved right now. Araceli, I'm going to throw it to you. There are new faces in the house and people coming back from injury, correct?
Oh, yes. We have plenty of new faces, including players finally returning from the injury roster, including Alan Polito. And I think that's where we started kind of seeing that shift, especially with him now back in the mix. I mean, we already know when it comes to Sporting, it was not a great start to the season. I believe they were on like a 10-game losing streak practically. It was very troubling for the club as well as the fans. If you listen to our past episodes, you've heard me mention it from time to time. But regarding the last 2 matches, they seem to be on a little bit of a winning streak right now. As you mentioned, they defeated the Seattle and now Minnesota. I'm not really focusing on Houston with the Open Cup because, let's be honest, that's the Open Cup. So I didn't see them advancing too far. That's my own personal opinion. But as I mentioned, looking at the injury roster, obviously I really don't know what it is for tomorrow because it is not out yet. So I am going based off of this past match. Not too many surprises on it considering Courtney Ford and Willie Agata are going to be out for the entire season due to season-ending injuries. Last I heard, Willie Agata did undergo surgery, which was very successful, thankfully. But as I just said, he will be out for the entire season. So naturally, seeing that raised some concerns. But now with Alan Polito back in the mix, they just seem to have their strength back. And going to the Minnesota game, as I've said with LAFC, unfortunately, I did not watch that game. I had to, so I'm kind of going based off of highlights. So bear with me on this. But um, I think it's safe to say that Tim Melia did not travel to LA. He went down in the 63rd minute due to an injury. So who will be in goal? Possibly Pulskamp, maybe McIntosh.
Which is that's a huge loss for them. I mean, a
It
huge
is.
loss. Amelia is kind of the face of the back line, right? I mean, he is the guy.
Mhm.
So it's going to be really, really interesting to see in terms of your goalkeepers or what you've seen from the goalkeepers. Who do you think really stands out that will probably get that call?
When it comes to the backup keepers, I would say John Pulskamp, the kid from Bakersfield, because he has been a very strong backup. He does have his moments. Is he as strong as Tim Melia? No. No disrespect to him, but um, Melia has been the anchor for the back line. So with him out, it is a little questionable, and I am curious to see what Vermees does to the back line to give Pulskamp that support.
Yeah, it's a tough ask. It really is a tough ask, and that is a huge, honestly, huge advantage to us. Again, uh, Tim Melia knows what it's like to be in front of the 252. The others do not, right? That will have a play. You know how we are back there. It
Mhm.
should be interesting. Of course, the Agata injury too is huge. He's played 8 games for them already this year. To not have him in is going to be a little tough. Now, looking for the goal situation, I think Daniel Salawi. I hope I said his name right. Did I?
You did.
Yeah, 12
Mhm.
games, 2 goals. That's way underperforming, but I believe he did get on the mark last game. Polito, 7 games, 1 goal, but now he's healthy. Those two, if they are clicking, we have something to worry about. That's just the way they play. If those guys are moving, and the other guy to me, the guy that's the glue in this is Johnny Russell. If Johnny Russell's in form, if Johnny Russell's doing Johnny Russell things, and I know you're looking at me like, oh, Johnny Russell things. When he's on, when he's got an attitude, it's gonna be a little bit of work. From the bit that you've seen from Johnny Russell, he's full tilt right now, right? He's back to normal again.
Oh, yes, he's back to full strength, and Johnny Russell has arguably been the heart of the squad for the last couple of years. There's a reason why he's the captain. He's
Hmm.
extremely emotional with the team, and he really pushes them to do well. I think it's fair to say that he is Sporting's version of Carlos Vela in the sense of his leadership skills and just really being that key component.
Character goes a long way, and he's one of those guys. Another name that popped up that I see that got a couple well, got 1 goal and 2 assists is Eric Tommy. Thoughts on him going into this match?
Eric Tommy, he's like a Willie Agata in the sense that even going into the season, all eyes were on them as the dramatic duo. They performed very well with Sporting last season, and seeing Tommy, he looks like he's back in his old form, so he could be very dangerous, especially in the midfield.
There it is. And then the other name that I saw pop up recently was Gadi Kinda, which is a familiar name, but again, we haven't heard his name a lot this year. 3 matches total. He was another one that was nursing injury, right, to get back into the lineup.
Correct. Similar to Polito, he was out for a couple matches due to injury, but now he's back. And even in the last match against Minnesota, he finally scored a goal after Oh goodness, how long has he been out?
A long
He's
time.
been out for a very long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So
So him coming in it shows something. That's for sure. Again, they're looking more complete now. Yes, there was one injury, but they're looking like SKC used to look. You know, there's some things there now. Interesting thing is they are playing a 4-3-3, which historically has not been the approach, right, from Peter Vermees. This is something new from him. Usually you look to see him clogging the midfield and controlling things. Instead, it's more of this front foot, kind of like what we do. And to me, I'm wondering if it's going to stay the same. I'm assuming it will now that they're getting results that way. But looking at it, if it stays the way it does, and Araceli, do you think they're going to probably stick with that for this match?
I think there's definitely a high chance that they will stick with that. Again, my only question is obviously, not only in the who are they put in the midfield, but in goal as well. But
Hmm.
looking at their roster that they used for the last match, I see it being more of the same. As I alluded to earlier, with a lot of new faces. Danny Rosero, who was actually signed this March, he's a center back. He scored the opening goal against Minnesota with an assist from Danny Shalhoub. So again, it looks like they're looking like the old SKC in a sense, especially
Hmm.
with those connections in the back. But I don't know. I mean, personally speaking, anytime that my hometown goes against LAFC, I'm always hoping for a draw. That's just me. Don't come after me. But
And no one's
um,
ever got one.
I'm definitely curious for
Yeah.
tomorrow's matchup.
Yeah. Typical lineup to expect in this game, of course, it's going to be Kendall McIntosh probably in goal. He's the one that came in to platoon for Melia. Fontas and Valencia as your center backs. Davis right back and Dembe the left back, I believe. Uh, Redoya started the last game as central midfielder, but Gadi Kinda came in for him. I think maybe Kinda's on limited minutes. That might be the story. Tommy right mid, Walter left mid. Of course, up top was Polito, Russell, and Shallowy. Uh, Getting older up top there, that's for sure, but still the experience is there and they know how to damage. Do you think in the central midfield position that maybe Kinda might be ready to start in this, or think uh, Red Doja goes in again?
I think there's a possibility Kinda could start, but given that he's still kind of on limited minutes with Sporting, it wouldn't be surprised me if he comes in the second half as a sub.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And again, Valencia is the guy to watch for, right? He's got one already. He did one last week, and he's looking ready. I did see another name sub into this, and it's really interesting because I'm just wondering how his form is looking. Is Graham Zusi got minutes in this last game? Pretty wild. He's got minutes. Is what's going on with him?
Graham Susie has been a very interesting case this year. Or thus far, I should say, because yes, he did get minutes, which is great to see. But unfortunately, his performance has just been very lackluster the last couple of matches. It's not just, the whole squad. Generally speaking, it's really just been him. So I know there's definitely been a lot of questions. Also, too, a lot of curiosity is if this will be his final season. Is he going to finally retire? Because Graham Zusi is still like one of the originals, even back in the Wizards days. So I don't know. I
It's
mean, personally speaking, he's always been a great player to not only watch but even off the pitch. But I I agree. I think this season it's his last one, his final hurrah.
He is a legend, but that is just it. He's a legend. He's not a current, impact man. That's what I was seeing as well. And again, Sanzusi, right? That's what he's most famous for. Um, yeah, been a mainstay, but you could see the kids are there now, and you got to get younger. And again, new faces are coming in, so the expectation is this is probably his swan song. Maybe we'll see him for a few minutes, but yeah, I don't expect a whole lot. That's for sure. Um, outside of that, I think that looks like our lineup, right, for SKC. No shock there. I think the bigger question, of course, will definitely be us. what are we doing with our lineup? How is this thing going to look? How are we going to deal with it? How do we, after seeing some scary moments in the last game, what do we do? What are we going to throw out there? And so I'm going to throw it to you guys first and where you see things are at. Center back, I think, is the first conversation. Long and Maldonado did fine last game. They held fine. They look healthy. Um, the rest are question marks. Quite literally, all of them after those two are question marks. Should we expect to see anything different, or definitely expect some rest to go into this? And I'll throw this to you, Tony, first. Thoughts on the center back situation?
Center backs, I don't think we should change again. Chiellini and Morelos are still on their lower injuries, so that's not going to. So we can need to rest them. I think that should be the Long and Maldonado should be fine. They worked really well. Again, not taking SKC lightly, but this should be a fine one. So center backs, I would just keep it the same, especially for this game, and then we'll again take it day by day at this point with that.
Right. And seeing the shuffle go around, I gotta wonder when is Segura gonna be ready, man? Because at this point, we really, really need him.
He wasn't on our roster, if you notice.
No, he's not. He's not. But he's in town.
No, I'm not even talking
around,
about. I'm not even talking about roster. I'm just talking about even like being on the payroll or anything like that too.
No, he's not. He's not under contract with us right now, but he's in the neighborhood. He's not retired, so put 2 and 2 together. I think we know what's going on there. Well, let's just hope he's ready when we need him, right? Now looking at the outside back situation, I'm going to go right at the Hollingshead story right now. Hollingshead looked absolutely gassed when he went off the field against RSL. Like really, he earned the day, right? But he looked it. I can't help but think that Palencia is the guy that gets the start for this one. I think this is the perfect match to have him get the start. What do you think in Araceli for your outside back situation?
No, I agree. I think Palencia is going to start over Hollingshead because, I mean, the boys are tired. Let's be honest. Yeah. They are just very tired. So I see Palencia getting it. I see I would give it to Modelano along again.
Palacios has to play, right?
It's very tough because it's kind of how Tony said. It literally is a day-by-day situation at this point.
Otherwise, it's one of the LAFC 2 kids. It's one of the youngsters, right? Yep. Are you going to throw them into this?
At this point, we have to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the league is important, and home field advantage is important going to the playoffs, but we have bigger things to do, and Champions League is on the mindset. I know Seattle, when they won it the first time around, like they overall, like their season was just bad, but Champions League was their main focus and they won it. And that's the main focus. Like, I don't mind throwing in the twos on this one. The US Open Cup, we'll talk about that when that comes in, but at this moment in time for league wise, the Supporters Shield is nice. I love it. But right now that's a longer time goal. We've had enough points to keep ourselves in the right positions that we're making playoffs. We're in the, battling for home field advantage, but bring in the youngins at this point, you know what I mean? To get some of the rest and stuff like that, even if San Jose is the same way. But for this game, SKC is right, but pull a mixture of the youngins and the veterans, and like so that would be well done.
Right. And which puts you in the left back situation with Palacios. I mean, who could even replace him at this point? I think they threw Tillman in there at some point and Acosta in there at some point, but we can't throw Acosta into this mix. And so I think Palacios is a question, but honestly, I think he starts just because of availability and stability. I think they keep him going there. I don't think they're going to take him out. I think the other big question is going to be our midfield situation. I think you will see a shuffle here, maybe some surprise names in the mix. I'll throw it out there. If Acosta's got any sort of knock, which it looks like he did, there's not a chance he's playing in this game. No way. Not with Carson down the line, exactly a week away. He's going to be slated for that game. because that also puts him a week before we face Leon. Um, I would think that makes sense. If he's feeling good, he goes for the next one, but this one he sits out. And if he's not feeling good, sit him all the way out until we play Leon. Like, whatevs, man. You got to rest the guy. Got to be careful with that. Sanchez is another story. I honestly do think Sanchez plays simply because of the history between the two teams. I just don't think he's going to want to miss that. It would bother him more to miss it. Maybe if he comes in as a sub too, that might be a good thing too. But I have a funny feeling he stays in. Tillman, again, in form. Don't be surprised if he plays. If not, I mean, your obvious choices to come in would, of course, be Eric Duenas, which I would love to see the man get a start. I think this is a perfect game for him to get a start. I want to see him in the lineup for this game. And then Crisostomo. I mean, he put in great work, right, against Monterey Bay. This might be a good one for him to get some minutes too. I'm going to throw this one to Araceli first. Your midfield pairing for this, and do you think this is where you're going to see the most rotation?
I definitely see possibility for rotation, especially with Acosta. I would hope to see Duenas or Chrysostomos take his spot. As far as Tillman, he's been in perfect form, so I won't be surprised if he gets a start. And as for Ilie, yes, I understand that the argument right now is rest demand because he has been playing every single match practically. But given the history between him and Sporting, you got to start him. You just have to.
It's tough. You don't want to risk him, but you feel psychologically speaking that he's gonna.
Even if you take him out at halftime, just start him at least.
Yeah, unless he platoons and gets limited minutes, which he can be, right? He goes 60 and get off the field. Cifuentes is the name that also pops up, right? Has to. I think he would get a start here too. So don't be surprised if it's Duenas and Sifu out there, and third guy's your wild card. Tony, your thoughts?
Like I said, I don't know. It's kind of like one of those top subs. It's like kind of going over. I'm trying to go over like the full roster of who's available, who's not available, who actually can probably play in this game. And it's just like so many what ifs. It's just like it's almost like throw a dartboard and see where it lands and see how it goes.
He's feeling good. Hey, maybe Bogu should get some time in midfield. He's played there before. Plenty. Maybe he goes into the back, right, and does things. And Tillman plays deep. He's done it before. Sifu's played deep before. It doesn't have to be Sanchez. That's the thing. Not in this one. It doesn't. So I honestly do think we're going to have a good surprise in midfield. Now, up top's the other story, right? Your usual suspects are Bouanga and Vela, and then Apoko Bogush Buke is the other story for that third one, right? That's how we're kind of moving things around. I'm going to throw it to you, Tony. Does Vela get the start in this thing, or are we going to put this guy in bubble wrap until we play the Galaxy?
Sorry.
I caught him right at the wrong time there.
I know, right? I would say Carson. I would say we start him on this one and limited minutes against San Jose, if that. So just to get him in the run. If anything, he comes out as a sub. He's the main one, of course. Bouanga for sure is a must. He wants to play every game. He wants to play 3 games if he could.
Every 3 days. That's what he said.
And then honestly, Poku, I think gets to start on this one. Bogus maybe move back. We use him for the back and stuff like that's his start. Or, of course, there's always what's the other one? Bogus and Buke. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a fine game for Buke to play in, right? He needs to play. Yeah, I know, guys. I know, but he's got to get better, right? He's a young lad. He's got to get better. You don't get better unless you play. So there's that. I honestly, after watching the guys get knocks last game, I'm seriously like, I get Bouanga playing, but Vela, like, I know he wants to play, but protect the man. Just protect him. And then Apoku, yeah, I think he's earned his spot. We'll see what we do here. Don't be surprised if one of the big boys gets limited minutes or they split with each other. That could be something as well. One goes in for the next, and then you get 2 young guys up top. So rotation should be the story. We'll see if it plays itself out. And then McCarthy, maybe this is McCarthy's chance to rest too. We didn't talk about it, but maybe we should. Yeah, Jakupovic is just sitting there waiting. This might be one for him as well, especially with McCarthy getting a good knock the last game. Expect some changes. I do, and I'll throw it out to you guys for the comments. Tell us where you think it's at. Where do you think it's going to be with rotation situation, or this is that match to go week to week to week until you get to Leon, which would be good too, and then where everyone gets the rest against San Jose. So really interesting situation as is. We'll see what happens. Now I'm going to throw it out to you. Any final comments from my panel here before we throw it out to the supporters?
Just it's going to be a very hard game to watch, and it's going to be surprising if there's going to be like a mix up of like players that we couldn't even think of to play. Because again, we just going off like who's doing well, who's doing everything. Like it's a 5-day game, but remember, guys, we are focused on Champions League. These games, of course, we want to win them, but Champions League is the number one priority. U.S. Open Cup maybe goes up a little bit higher than Supporter Shield at this moment in time, but especially who we're playing against. And so this is going to be the hardest one to pick out of who the starting lineup is going to be. At this point, you can pretty much put your takes out there, and you might be right as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the good one. This is the good one here that we're playing a little bit of lottery here. That's for sure. So definitely get into the conversation here. Tell us where you guys are at on this one. Let me throw into some comments. There's a few of you guys that already popped on there, so I'm going to see where you're at on this. Black and Gold Soldier, to me, LAFC is everyone's club. There you go. I see Wolf in the mix as well. He's looking at Open Cup next MLS trophy, so there he is on that one. Daniel Angel says, I never used to get all the Vela at 10 talk, but honestly, at this point, we might need to see it. I mean, I think the conversation with Vela at 10 is, of course, what he does on the other side of the ball has always been the big concern. And of course, when you're in the 10, that's a good chance to get clipped and all that other fun stuff, and it gets a little bit more tight. So we'll see. I wouldn't bet on the 10 spot, but you never know. You never know with these lineups how they're going to play it. But I again, I'm voting for safety. So there you go. Ox says he does hope nothing but the best for whoever Dolo puts out there. And let's be honest, Dolo has been rolling the dice rather well as of late. As of last year, too. We know this. It's hard to doubt the man with the success he's had so far. He knows what's best for the boys. He sees them every day. He knows who needs to be in there. So there you go. Daniel Angel, man, good on you, dude. He actually gave us his picks for the game. So here we go. He says Eldon in goal, so Jakupovic in goal. Sergei Palencia, it would be your right back. Daniil and Aaron as your center backs. Cheeky on the left. Ilie, Jose, and Eric in the midfield. Young lad with some experienced boys next to him. That's never a bad thing. And then Bouanga, Poco, and Bogush. So a rest for Vela, or at least limited minutes. So there we go. I like your choices, sir. I wouldn't mind that at all. That's for sure. Tony?
I like his front three, to be honest. We've never seen those three. Those three kind of play together. We've seen Butte play up there with them, but I've never seen Bogus with that yet. So that could be an interesting situation.
Yeah, I could put SKC into some fits there. You've got some distant shooters in that, and you got a Poku who can get in behind. And Araceli looks like she might cry in a minute. Sorry. But I'm just saying, I'm down with that, Danielle. I like that lineup. That looks cool with me. I'm good with it. Ox says, any word on Giorgio? No, it's quiet. We've heard some injury talk. I don't want to share that on here, to be honest. But from what we got is it's always a day to day. It's not like a long term thing. So he's quite literally day to day for the season. I think you could say that safely. Is that he is our day to day player. So again, when he can get out there, we love that he's out there. But again, take it safe. Take it safe. We're gonna need him for the big stuff too. So long stretch, long summer. You just want Giorgio to be healthy. So it's quiet right now, which I think that might suggest that we're not going to see him. So there's that. Again, not calling it, but it's too quiet. Ox, of course, is he's having a good chuckle at Araceli's expense. I get you, Ox. I get you, man. I know. The match is what it is. So
I expect to see Ox in KC next month, which is very interesting because literally 1 month from today is when LAFC will be here in KC.
you better go, Ox. I know that drive, right? It's not a short drive. I will say that. His drive is pretty decent from Wichita to Kansas
It's
City,
only 2
Kansas.
hours. It's not that bad.
It's because everything looks the same all the way up. Uh, it feels like it's an extra hour. Grass, fields, grass, water towers. It's a Kansas thing. Nothing against
The
Kansas.
rolling hills. Come on.
Rolling
You can't
hills
diss
look
the
the
rolling
same.
hills.
I know. Look at, and Ox says actually 3 hours. So there it is. So funny, guys. Yeah, Kansas is a beautiful state. Not gonna say it isn't, but it looks kind of the same on the side of those roads. It does. It just does. It just does. So there it is, Ox. Ox says he's got his tickets. He'll be there, Araceli. So that means photo op inbound. There it is. Awesome. Thank you, Ox, for that update, man. All right, guys. I see the comments. Thank you again for always posting, always supporting, always giving us your best, honest, wildest opinions. We value them all. Could be out in left field. I'm good with it. I'm totally good with it. All right. So is that point? Are we getting there, guys? That's right. Towards the end of the show. So you know what we do at this point? We talk about our final thoughts. We close this one out. Get you guys ready for the next day because this game's coming up quick. So there it is. Final thoughts. I throw it out to my crew there. I'm going to start with you, Araceli, since of course Ox is throwing it at you. Final thoughts.
My final thoughts are simple. I've already said it before. I'm just very curious to see how it goes tomorrow because anytime SKC and LAFC always face off, whether if it's in Los Angeles or here in KC, it's always one of those matches that just like you want to see both do well, but I just leave it at that. Otherwise, same as usual. Wishing everyone stays safe, whether if you go to a watch party or not. Be sure to look out for each other. And yeah, just enjoy the game.
There it is. Fill out the bank, make it noisy. It's what we do best. Tony, final thoughts, sir.
Final thoughts is, of course, drive safely there, drive safely after the game, drink responsibly. Yeah, words are hard. Responsible. Oh my God, why am I saying responsibility? Responsible. And, if you get out there, get at HQ, hopefully the Pride jersey's there so I can pick it up really quick and also pick up a new jersey as well. Also, it's going to be Military Appreciation Day that day. So, thank you for your services for any military people who listen to us. I know whatever your things on politics is, at the end of the day, we have to, honor our military service people because, at the end of the day, they're here to protect us no matter what they're doing. They're following orders, but they keep us safe. So there's never any doubts of that. So thank you. I want to say thank you for all of them for what they do. And of course, since Bam's not here, remember it's okay not to be okay. Make sure you hit up your friends and see how they're doing. It doesn't matter what time of day, send them a text. If they respond, they'll have a conversation through text, through voicemail, if you can do that, or FaceTime. There's so much more technology to reach out. There's not just distance is not a thing anymore. Physical touch, of course, kind of being there, being like to hold them or do whatever them is a little bit different, but you can always reach out. So just, it's okay to be okay, and make sure you just reach out for some friend.
A phone call goes a very long way. It does. Again, we all need each other at the end of the day, right? We're all community here. And so do it, right? Reach out. You got to do it. Thank you, Tony, for bringing that up again. Also, congratulations on episode 101 for Tony today. I know we didn't get a chance to really give him all the love last week, but the man has been here for a third of our shows. I know, right? Time flies. So again, brother, thank you for that, and keep it up. Hey, we'd be lost on community news without you. I'm honest. I'm terrible about these things. So you're keeping it down, and of course, social media is on point as always. Thanks to Tony. So love you, man. Amazing. Araceli, thank you for your late night again, giving us the preview, getting the shtick from Ox all the time, and I know we all love Ox, but again, thank you for being a gamer on this and getting us the updates for tonight and beyond, of course, with LAFC 2 news. Thank you to all the supporters, fans, crazy black and gold family for always staying golden, being golden, traveling well, getting nuts every week, doing what we do best, and giving us the reputation that we have these days. Thank you to all you guys. And so, final word again, Araceli.
Stay golden.
Oh, Tony.
Stay golden, Los Angeles.
And from me to all of you, stay golden, Los Angeles.
Thank you for listening to the Heart of LAFC. Make sure to leave us a rating and review on iTunes or Stitcher. Shoulder to shoulder, the black and gold is taking over.